Hello and welcome to How's Your Heart podcast. It is Linda for short. Welcome to yet another episode. Boo, 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 boo. Yeah. I think I'm getting used to those gang signs. But anyway, today I have my beautiful friend here, Zanele. I'm so glad to have you here. If you remember, actually, how I really started this podcast is when we had that conversation on How's Your Heart, and you're like, girl, what are you asking me? And I think from that point on, I just really enjoyed asking people how's their heart, asking myself. So you had a big part in I guess putting this vision into practice. So yeah, how's your heart?
I always feel like I'm ready to answer that question. And then I'm like, oh my gosh, okay, let me reflect. But just to answer your question, I think the best word that describes my heart at the moment is open.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So
wow.
I don't know if you have anything to just expand on that. Yeah. So I just feel I'm in a season where I've come out of a place where I think my heart was actually quite closed.
Wow.
Just closed in the sense of whether it be it exploring new opportunities, allowing people in, because I thought that, I guess I've been also just in a season of healing in all aspects. So, I think just reflecting on the past few months, I would definitely say it's in a space of just being open. And I think also just to get to that stage, God has been pouring a lot into. So there's been a lot of emptying and refilling, such that it's now, it feels like my heart is also
open.
Yeah.
Wow. I have never heard anything like that. Like, oh my goodness, like I can just feel this, like the sense of being open to just new opportunities and assignments. Mind being open. I think, like as you were speaking, I was just thinking of a river and just flowing. And yeah, like that is beautiful. That is beautiful.
Thank you.
How
is your heart doing? Am I allowed to ask that?
Yes.
Okay.
How am I gonna top that?
Nah, girl.
I feel my heart is at a place of I feel content. I feel like where God has me, I feel very comfortable. Very comfortable and very I'm where God wants me to be. And my heart is in a place of obedience. I think it's just my heart is just willing to just obey and just receive what God wants for me in this season. So I feel very content. I was saying to a friend yesterday that turning 29 is such a weird age. But I feel like a sense of acceptance in my life. I feel like I'm accepting myself. I feel like I'm accepting my journey with God as well. Like there's a lot of like just coming into myself. And like I am just willing to anything that God has for me in the season, or just obeying what He's saying in the season.
Wow, I love it. I love it. I have this theory that obedience is one of God's love languages.
I remember you saying that. I think we speak about love languages in culture, and when it comes to like God, we don't think that those are the things that God actually, or we can actually apply that in our relationship with God, because it is a relationship, and we need to apply the things that we learn practically on how we can apply it in our walk with God. So I really love that obedience. It's one of God's love languages. And to get onto today's topic, we have been in the UK now for 2 years. On Monday, like
I know,
5 years ago.
Imagine. Wow.
So we're right on the same day.
Yep.
2 years ago, we arrived on the same day. I arrived at 1 p.m. or 2 p.m. You arrived at 6
a.m.
6 a.m. And that has been the journey. We've been together for a year.
Yeah.
A beautiful time in our life.
Yeah.
And
for sure.
Ben, what are your reflections on the 2 years?
Yeah. So, I mean, my reflections could go on the whole day.
we had this conversation.
Yeah, we did have the conversation. So I'll try to summarize everything. So to this day, it's difficult to box it into like a very short and sweet package, but I'll try my best. So definitely when I was coming here, right, I spoke to a friend and I asked her, how's been your time in the UK? What's your advice? Blah, blah, blah. And rightfully so, she said to me that everyone's experience will always be different, right? The advice that she gave me was figure out what your why is. Why are you moving?
Yeah.
Right. So me being me, I like writing things down. That's just,
yes.
I write things down. So I wrote my sort of kind of 5 main points that I had as my why. And, when I reflect back on those, and obviously that journey included me just speaking to God also as well, like, God, what do you want? What do you want for me in this season, et cetera, et cetera. And then I came up with my main thing. So when I reflect back, I'm just so grateful that God has been so faithful.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that all of those things have been ticked, because this is obviously a journey for me.
Yeah.
But for sure, He's like seen me through a lot of those things. Even if they're still a work in progress.
Yeah.
I really do appreciate that. Just having put God in the center of this move has really been what has anchored me.
Yeah.
Throughout the process. I mean, I have grown in ways that I never expected I would grow.
And grow you will.
Grow you will. Hey, in a foreign land, you're far from family. That's also really, that's been tough, but it's just been so great and amazing how God has placed such amazing people in my life, you included. I mean, in SA, yes, we were working in the same office, but we weren't in the same vicinity, kind of, So just amazing people that God has placed in my life. Work is hectic.
Yes.
Work is super hectic, but in itself, I see the growth that has happened and just the self-discovery that has also happened, which I don't think would have happened if I remained in the same environment that I was. So for me, that's also just been a huge aspect. As I think I've already mentioned, the community, just having a church community as well that has been very, very, actively present and just having people who you can lean on and trust on with anything and everything. So yeah, that's been really great and amazing. What else? I think just the ability to travel as well. Last year I traveled quite a lot. So traveling as well. That was also something my family was like, hey, you're just picking up going to another country.
I don't know about solo travel, but
So yeah, that has also just been an exciting journey for me. Obviously would definitely love to travel more with people going forward, but yeah, I had to go through, and I enjoyed that season as well, just doing solo travel. So I think that's basically in a nutshell. Yeah.
I guess like just on the lighter side, what has been like maybe a highlight of how different life is compared from South Africa, Zimbabwe and in the UK that has like struck me?
Highlight. Okay. I would say the efficiency of like things work.
Yeah.
Things generally work. There are a few things that I'm like, I think the service providers a bit, sketchy in terms of you trying to get hold of a GP. It's
Yeah.
just problematic, but but majority of the things work. So just the transport system works so smoothly. The fact that I can just tap my card, it's totally different to how things work in Zim.
I remember I guess you remember when you connected your card to your phone.
Yeah.
So I guess doing that. And then I ended up doing it like later on.
Exactly.
Because like
That's how things work.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I would say, just to add, I know you've spoken about the highlights. The one thing that I came here anticipating that didn't really go according to what I had in mind was I thought I was going to find myself in British Bay.
It's still early days.
Don't think years now. 20 years. But okay, all right. Yeah, it's like, I was so convinced. I was so convinced. Oh, it's so funny. But yeah, no, I'm in a content place.
Well, if you haven't watched my previous video, please check it out. Trust to God in the process.
Yes, girl. Yes.
Oh my gosh, yeah. But I think that is obviously you go to a different place, whether it's changing provinces or changing states.
Yeah.
You are like just open to meeting new people, and hopefully you wish that one of the things would be meeting like your significant other. And yeah. Conversation for another day. I remember when we were looking for a flat, and there were strikes, like they literally the second week we were here. I was like, what? People strike here, and like not okay. The tubes are not working, and we had to take a bus, which took us double time. Oh, it was like
I think it took 4 hours traveling. And when I say
4 hours, whereas it would have taken us like 80 minutes.
Yeah,
you know. But I also agree with the self-development. I think I've seen a lot of growth in myself. Like even like thinking about starting this podcast as well. It's like being like growing into myself and having new dreams. And like it's just growing as a person, you know, putting yourself in uncomfortable positions where you are meeting new people, and now you're kind of forced to be interested in other people and also open up to those people. And it has been such a beautiful journey. One of the things that we both agreed on when we arrived here was we were not going home in the first year. And I think people looked at us like we're crazy. Because we're like, we have no
to settle in, right? You just
How has that been now, like going home after the first time you went home?
So the first time I went back home, it was for my sister's Rora, my sister's lobola negotiation. And it was great. It was great to be back at home, to be honest. It was also, I guess, the atmosphere, the fact that, you know, there was something big happening, celebrations that were happening. It was really, really lovely to just tune in, be with family, just get that family love. And just go back to the root. It was great.
Okay, now that we've reflected on our 2 years in the UK, what I really want to speak to you about is work ethic. I think, as you mentioned, we worked in the same office, and Zanele is one of those people that were like focused, laser focused. I remember we went to Joburg in Joburg. And I thought that our team was just like whatever, and you guys were grinding. And I saw that when we were living together. I would see you like working late into the night, and sometimes you didn't have to, but you put your best foot forward in terms of like putting so much into your work and pouring yourself into your work. And I would envy that, because sometimes I'm the kind of person that past 7, like I'm done. I am done. Also, like you wake up very early. You are dedicated, like you are disciplined in what you do every day. Wake up every day, whether it's raining, sunshine, go for a run.
Girl.
I mean, most days, go for a run, and then you are putting in the work and not so easily distracted by like life happening. So I thought it would be fitting to really speak to you about like what drives that work ethic in terms of, and obviously you get discouraged along the way, but what makes you have that grit of I'm going to put my best. Like how where does that come from?
Oh, okay. So I feel what's the word? Privileged. The fact that you asked me to speak about this. And I really appreciate the fact that you've seen that within me. So just to answer the question, I think it really goes back because I took some time as well from the time that you asked me to speak about this. So I was just trying to reflect on some of the, I mean, it's not like it's like big news to me, like the thing, right? Because quite a number of people do say the same thing to me. But I did take further time to just really delve deep and figure out, okay, let me just explore this more. And I really think it actually is rooted in the way I grew up and my family. So my family grind. They are just generally,
and I can see that. Like I can see that. Honestly, it's not something I just
So it's just really been embedded in just who I am. I mean, I even at a young age, in high school, my dad always used to say, "Oh, if you want extra pocket money, you need to work for it." You know, so I would go and like work later, not John. You need extra. I'll give it a bare minimum, but you know, anything above and beyond that, just I guess that's where it kind of just really started developing that, you know, you just things don't just come to you on a silver platter. So it just installed that. And people at home generally just wake up early. So not just my parents, my siblings as well. Everyone is up. At 6, you're already hearing movement in the 5. That's when the movement starts. So generally that's also why I'm an early riser. And then at night, we sleep early. So
obviously.
But it's just now also embedded in who I've become. So I would definitely say family, the way my family operates. And it's not just my immediate family, my extended family as well, like my aunt and my uncle. It's just been, that's just how they've just generally operated. So yeah, that's definitely had a big impact. And then I would say the other thing is just, I guess this has been now as I've been growing up more, just realizing that everything that I have, I am stewarding. It's not mine, right? It's not mine. So this body itself belongs to God, right? And it needs to be taken care of. I've obviously had some health issues, you know, that came up and popped up, and that obviously caused me to then make sure that I need to like make sure that my body is well kept and I exercise, etc. So that had to be built up into a routine, which is hard. But now it just comes
second.
It's a second nature. I'm like, I wake up sometimes. I'm like, oh, I really don't want to do this, but I just find myself
really don't want to do it.
I want to see that. Like, it's not like I go up and it's freezing cold. I'm like, yes, let's do this.
I think that's the misconception when looking at people in the work that it's easier for them, and you feel like you like there's so much that you need. There's so many hurdles that you need to go over, whereas other people just it just happens.
No, definitely. On some days, yes, I feel that way. On some days, I really feel like, oh my gosh, I just really don't feel like doing this, but I know I have to do it. So I just put myself, girl, put yourself together. Let's just do this. Kind of have to go through it. So yeah, I think that's definitely a big thing. Even at work, I mean, there are days when I have figured out that, or I mean, I've been on a journey that, I need to figure out how to maneuver through my career. Maybe this is not exactly the space that I want to be in and all of that stuff. But I still recognize that I need to I need to show up. You know, I need to show up. Yes, I might not show up 100% on every day, but whatever I have to give that. So
that's so interesting because you mentioned stewarding over what God has given you. And I think sometimes we lose sight of serving the season that you are in. Yes, we're always thinking ahead of what I want and what I'm praying about, what I like, what's next in my career, what's next in my health journey, or what's next in whatever aspect of your life that you're thinking about. But in that moment, how important it is to focus on where God has put you and make sure that you're stewarding that season very well and what God has put in your hands at that time. How do you get over those thoughts of, I really don't want to be here. I hate it here. I don't want to do this. But you know that you have to.
Yeah, that's a that's a tough question to really pinpoint exactly what you need to do. But I think it's a mind. I know it might sound as though it's like a airy-fairy answer, but it's really about, because your mind is such a powerful tool. You know. So if you are speaking to yourself, so say I'm in a situation where I know I don't want to be and I need to get out, but I'm like, okay, fine. I'm taking the steps and, you know, trying to figure things out. But now what do I do now? How do I continue functioning now? I guess that's your question. I think it's really about, because what we speak to ourselves is actually very powerful. So the more you dwell on the fact that, oh my gosh, I just totally dislike this place that I'm in. I'm just in a rut, and it's just going on and on and on in your head. That's just going to make your body then, or everything in you, just reject everything. So it's important to recognize and acknowledge, fine, I'm not happy, I'm not satisfied where I'm at. I'm taking the necessary steps that I need to try figure this thing out. But in the meantime, let me just give myself grace. 1, 2, I need to take captive of my thoughts. You need to, it can't be what you're focusing on 10 hours of the day. It's just going around in your head. So you have to fill your mind with things that are actually going to negate those difficult thoughts. And I guess that's how you kind of are able to overcome that.
How real is the scripture? Do everything as you are doing it unto God, like work.
Oh yes,
you're working for God.
How
real is in your life?
I think for me, it's like I don't consciously think about it a lot, but I always say, and we always say with my sister, for example, my mom is a true testament of that, because the way she's always just like, I'm not doing this for human beings. So even if she's going through the most, and she's gone through interesting seasons, you know, it's always been like, well, I'm at peace because I know I'm not doing it to please anyone here on this earth. I'm doing it like at the end of the day, it's gone. So we're all like, your ethic is on other level, you know. So even though I don't relate to it a lot of the times, but I have a reference, which is for me so encouraging. And the one thing she always tells me as well is, or what she always used to say, especially like before my exams and everything, was like, go and give it your best shot. Give it your best shot. So that has always been engraved in me as well, that, you know, kind of everything that I do, I just want to give it my best shot. Even if my best shot is not looking like it's the best to someone else. But for me, it just gives me that peace and that, something in my heart just to say, okay, at least I gave it my all.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think just one last thing that I was thinking of is just seeing in you like the work that you put in.
Yeah.
And how diligent you are in everything that you do. It has to be a certain way. And just being diligent in stewarding what you have. I think some people, and maybe some Christians as well, they think that if I pray about it, then it's all covered. But you have to show up.
Yeah.
You have to put in the word. For example, maybe in university, you have to make sure that you are studying here. You can't just pass because you prayed about it.
Exactly.
I think I guess speaking on the point of you as a person, making sure that you are showing up and you are practical in the things, in how you do things. Because, as I said, I think people just think, okay, I'm not going to wake up early. I'm not going to go to the gym, but I'm going to pray about my health.
Yeah.
But you're not taking care of yourself.
Yeah.
Or at work, you are so frustrated about your manager or your boss, but you're not putting in the work.
Yeah.
And that's just it. Like you are not you're not going the extra mile if you need to. Yeah. And I know sometimes like I fall into this pit as well where I know that I can put much more.
Yeah.
But most of the time, I don't even want to say sometimes, most of the time, I just do what is required. I guess like how to make sure that you are putting in that work and being disciplined and diligent in your work and ensuring that you're not comfortable where you are, like whatever work that you're doing, whether it's a like for example myself, I just put in the bare minimum and kind of maybe expect that getting a promotion or expect that there's going to be a reward even though you're putting in the bare minimum. I guess what would you say to someone like me? Because I feel like sometimes I don't have that grit of just pushing.
Yeah.
When, like I said, if it's 7, I'm like, oh, I'm done. Unless it's like really high pressured. But on a day-to-day where things are not so much high pressured, I can be just
mellow.
Yeah, and just mellow. And then when things are like, oh, we need to finish this, we need to finish this, I'm like, oh, I could have put 2 more hours on that day when I really was feeling like I'm still productive. But I guess for me, I guess I like pressured environments, but I do feel like there is opportunity where I can push a bit more. But I guess I don't have that thing. I don't know what that thing is, like the extra mile to make sure that every day I'm putting in that extra hour, even though I don't have to, so that when I have to, I'm not putting in as much. I get what you're saying.
Oof, girl, you are like asking me questions that I'm like, do I have an answer?
This is for me.
But I feel like it's for me too, because I'm like, wait, I feel like I relate to that. But yeah, so definitely I don't absolve myself of the fact that there are times, honestly, I can't function on 100% all the time, right? There are going to be days and times, a lot of times actually, that I'm okay with just cruising with what needs to be done and all of that. But I think to try and answer that in short, maybe I should ask it as a question instead. Do you feel that if we found meaning, or if we found meaning, or if we could link what you're doing to how it's adding value, or how it gives you a sense of meaning and purpose, do you feel that might be the way that we can really then just always show up to the best that we can, and just put in the extra because it feeds somehow to you. I know it does feel as though it's like a selfish kind of, motive, but yeah, that's just my thoughts on that.
So that is actually deep, because it is true that if you have a vision for what you're doing, and you know what you're doing it for, then it's easier to, I mean, it's not easy, but easier to put it out. Wow. Wow. Yeah. I hear you. And I remember at my previous firm, I'm here for a good time, not a long time.
Which is nice too. Like,
I
good to know.
And then I was not trying to get to the next promotion or whatever. I was just cruising. And I think, obviously, had I had a goal of this is what I want to achieve in my career, then I'm going to put in the work. That's something to think about.
But also, I guess at the same time, I know I've mentioned this. It's okay as well to maybe not necessarily know the full vision of what because sometimes it's difficult, right, to then have that full clarity in terms of, okay, fine, this is where I'm going. So then that then feeds into, okay, how you're doing things. I think even in that moment where, for example, you're saying you were there, let me just have a good time, let me cruise, not really going for anything further here, right? I think even then, to be able to show up, probably good to pick out what is it that I actually enjoy in this, like find a mini subset, either it's just, I don't know, maybe if it's just even the coaching aspect of what
it was my friends that were
exactly. Then you're gonna show up. To some extent. Then what happens for those people that don't have that vision or that purpose? But in whatever they're currently doing. I think
that's so important. Okay, as we wrap up this conversation, I think we've spoken so much about like having vision. And even if you don't have that vision, what is the previous thing that you were gunning for? And now are you actually making sure that you're stewarding that? I guess to just close it off, what would you say to someone that didn't have the kind of upbringing that you had and where grinding is the order of the day, and now they're finding themselves in a situation where maybe everyone at work or everyone at university is grinding, or we're hearing they're grinding a lot, and they probably also don't have the vision of what they want to work towards, and they probably feeling like, I know I've had conversations with people that have gotten to like qualify as a CA, and then they're like, what now? There's like no vision or no kind of what to work towards. How do you what would you say to those people that are trying to make sure that they are putting in the work and they get the discipline that they need to have going forward, and maybe the vision is not that clear as well?
I would say probably have someone who you can walk with on that journey, and instead of trying to do it yourself. So yes, praying and putting it to God is definitely high priority. I think also at the same time is having someone in the flesh who you can hold you accountable, and who you can speak to about these things, because sometimes talking to someone actually helps you to be able to figure out what it is that you want. So I think that's definitely important. And I guess for those who haven't had that kind of instilling background, or whatever it is, at least if you have that desire, then be that person who then starts it for whichever generation is coming after you, right? So I know it sounds like so broad and like, okay, I don't know how it will start. But I think just instilling those small steps in what the way you do is going to impact then someone who's coming after you. So then you are then becoming the trailblazer. Yeah.
Wow. Thank you so much for coming here and just sharing your heart. Thank you for sharing your thoughts. And obviously, like, it's not that you are an expert in anything that we said. Yeah. It's just being able to see what God is doing in your life and seeing, like, you know, I guess the anointing and how you show up and put in the work and how diligent you are. And I think it's so important to, like, shine a light on those things that we see in other people.
Yeah.
And thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
If you haven't catch Zanele at All Things Spice on Spotify, Apple Podcast. Yeah. Where are we exciting then?
Oh my God, awesome. Okay, before March, I will be back. I have my game on.
All Things Spice. What did Spice stand for again?
Spiritual, physical, intellectual.
Still figuring it out.
Yes.
And then
E is emotional and experiential. Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us. We hope to see you in another episode.
Yeah.
And bye. Bye.